Thank you, Jaswinder. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order, acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. This morning, I will be chairing the hearing. My name is Robert Hutchings. I'm joined on the panel by Diane Knight and Ron Merritt. Representing the Assessment Department, City of Winnipeg, is Matthew Harling, and our secretary today is Jaswinder Kumar. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that we mail to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with this board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 10 today on our docket. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Harling.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Rocky Neufeld.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Good morning, everyone. First item on the docket, number 1, is file number 22-3087.
I'm sorry, before we begin, I have a preliminary matter to deal with, if that's all right.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld.
In the docket for today, there are 10 properties, and 5 of the properties have requests for non-cooperation. I don't argue law. That's outside my scope. Mr. Mercury is not able to make it today. I'm asking if we can put them off for a time where I can get legal counsel.
Okay, was it a scheduling difficulty? Were you aware that these non-cooperations were coming when the briefs were submitted?
I'm not, well, it's part of an internal process here. So personally, I didn't see them until very, very recently. But this year, the Board of Revision is on a bit of a tighter turnaround time, so we're getting very little notice, maybe 2 weeks, week and a half before a hearing. So Mr. Mercury was tied up. He just contacted me 10 seconds ago that he couldn't get rid of his conflict. So we thought he'd make it. He's got other work too. So I don't know what else our options are. We'd like them to be adjourned to a time when Mr. Mercury is available.
Okay. Mr. Harling, any comments on Mr. pardon me, excuse me, Mr. Neufeld's request?
Well, I guess it's up to the boards, I guess, to make that decision. I guess I don't really have much of a say in the matter, I guess, it sounds like.
Okay. I think, Mr. Kumar, we will recess and go in camera and discuss Mr. Neufeld's request for
Yes.
the adjournment of five items on the docket.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thanks. Be alive, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jaswinder. I'll now call the hearing back to order. The board has considered the request by, excuse me, Mr. Neufeld for an adjournment of items number 2, 6, 8, 9, and 10 on the docket due to the non-cooperation request and the request of the applicant to have legal representation. That representation is not available this morning due to a conflict. But it just please be noted, this is a one-time adjournment, Mr. Neufeld, and that it would be appreciated in the future if you could notify the board as soon as possible about non-appearance of your legal counsel. Okay, that deals with that. So we are dealing now with items number 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7 on the docket today. We will start with item number 1. File number 22-3087, 532 Agnes Street, and this is a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Harling, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3087. The roll number is 1304-1276000. The address is 532 Agnes Street, and the owners are Computer Plus Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $217,000. Subject property is parcel used as an industrial warehouse. It's actual years built are 1913 to 1983, with an effective year built of 1966. The wall heights are 12 to 13 feet. The land area is 3,917 square feet, with a leasable area of 2,280 square feet. With a land to plant area of 1.72. Go to page 2 of my brief. We'll just see the response for income information has been requested. You'll see the subject sale history. There was a recent sale, however, there's a post-reference sale. I won't be speaking to it. And the bottom of page 2, you'll just see that there are no subject property leases in place. If you look at page 3 of my brief, you'll see my rent comparables. The rent comparables range from start date of 2017 to 2021 for lease start dates. The lease terms range from 2 to 5 years. The leased areas range from 1,925 square feet to 4,500 square feet. The wall heights range from 12 feet to 14 feet. The effective years built range from 1925 to 1974. And the net rents range from $6.75 a square foot to $9.12 a square foot. Page 4 of my brief, you'll see my income, the income workup for the subject. Again, the leasable area is at 2,280 square feet. We're applying a model rent of $7.20 a square foot. We're applying a 6.5% for vacancy loss. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and a shortfall of $3.85 a square foot. This gives us an overall net operating income of $14,318. And we are applying a capitalization rate of 6.60%, which gives us the overall estimated value of $217,000. Go to page 5 of my brief, you'll just see the income valuation summary. Go to page 6 of my brief, to see some capitalization rate information. If you look under the industrial section, you'll see majority of the, or 20th to 8th percentile of cap rates within the city of properties fall within 5.5 to 7.45. And if you look under published rates by CRB, Cushman & Wakefield, you'll see our 6.60% cap rate falls within the ranges they have indicated for what they've shown in the market for cap rates. So I believe our cap rate is supported by the outside sources. Page 7 brief is just some municipal assessment act excerpt information. On page 8 of my brief, you'll see a subject property map of the property. You can see it's where it's situated on 532 Agnes Street. On page 9 of my brief, you'll see a street view photo of the subject at the front of the building. And on the bottom page 9, you'll see some overhead views of the subject property. This is continued on page 10, just to show the parcel boundary, which shows that the current assessed value of $217,000. Page 11 through 14 of brief is the income expense mailer. They have indicated that's owner-occupied property. And then page 15 through 16 is just some outside source information. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harling. Does the applicant have any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I'm just. You mentioned that there was a post-reference sale. Do you know the date of that sale? Do you have that in your system?
I believe it is. We have it. It's August 4th, 2021.
Okay. And now I know it can't be allowed, but I'm just wondering if the assessment department ever, for a sanity check, looks at these post-reference sales.
Well, when we're deriving our model, we would not include post-reference sales typically, no.
Oh, okay, but I mean, after the model is done and it puts out, does anyone go and say, let's just check and see? In our business, we call it confirmation of the trend, and I know we can't rely on it. I'm just curious what your process.
I mean, you know, it's something maybe we would look at after the fact potentially. Yes, I mean, it's a case by case basis, I guess.
And so page 4 is all from the model.
That is a model, correct.
And the vacancy rate that's applied, what would be? Sorry, is that for SWH in this part of the city?
Yes. We would look at them. We would look at vacancy rates for like the annual vacancy rates, and that was what we would apply. Yes. Okay,
so but that's an industrial rate.
Yeah, that would be correct. Yes.
No, I just in years past, oftentimes the excerpt from your booklet on the reassessment is always placed in. So perhaps some of these questions would have been answered had it be there. But is there a different rate for this particular neighborhood as compared to traditional industrial neighborhoods?
As unfortunately, I don't have that document with me, so I can't speak to that at this moment, unfortunately. So
you don't know if this is the same as what would be applied in St. James or Inkster?
At this time, no. I unfortunately,
okay.
I'm not entirely sure. So that's fine.
When it comes to industrial, the plan area here is 1.72. Is that not on the inferior side?
It's a lower land to plan ratio. I won't disagree. Yes. So.
Okay. The age, I noticed that there's 2 dates. Is that looking at the picture on page 9 and 10 to account for the 2 building sections we're seeing?
Yeah, that would be exactly. Yeah. And then we have the effect of your belt, which would be the overall.
Right. So would you know which one's the older one, the street one, side one, or the back lane?
From what I'm able to tell, I believe it's the rear one. But I unfortunately I did not. I could double check, but I'm from under. I believe it is the rear from the knowledge I was able to figure it out.
The rear one is the older one.
That's what I believe. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So when this is put in the model, then you have an effective year. Do you put both dates in?
Yeah, exactly. We have like all the building area. We'd have both buildings, and then we'd have both of those ages, and then we come to effective year built based on the ages of the buildings. Yeah.
Okay. And the comparables that you have listed, did you select these?
These were selected by me, correct?
Okay. Now, I'm just looking at some of these. Most all of these are considerably newer than the subject. Would you not agree?
There's a few that are. There's about one, two. I'd say about two of them are all. I'd say then maybe 1336 Border and 1201 Richard would be the newest ones. The other ones are pretty close in terms of age. If you look at the effective year built, 1966. So.
Well, but that's all again done by an observation. Not these aren't like hard facts. If someone puts an effective year on, isn't that correct?
Yeah, because you could say that, yeah.
Okay. 262 Gwendolyn, do you know what that building is? Would they do that?
I'm not. I don't. I know the business in there, but I don't know exactly the specifics of what they do in the business. So.
Oh no, it's a body shop, and I'm wondering if you think a body shop is comparable to the subject.
Unfortunately, I don't have. I guess it's a different use, so no, I disagree. It is a different use, yes. So.
Okay, and now speaking of different use, the subject is zoned R2, correct?
That is correct.
And it has an industrial use. Did you check the usage tables to see if what was permissible in R2?
Yes, I'm familiar with what's in permissible in R2, yes.
Is it fair to say that the number of industrial uses in R2 is 0 permissible uses?
Yes, I mean, yes, if you would have to agree, for the zoning, you're right, the residential would be for residential purposes, yes.
Okay, and on that basis, the prospects for alternate use are probably non-existent. Would you agree with that?
Like in terms of, what, can you maybe elaborate on that a bit?
Well, if the current use, industrial use for which you have it assessed at is the door press. I don't even know what that is, but if it were changed to a different use, it's fair to say you would not get an occupancy permit.
Potentially, yes, yeah.
Okay. And does the model take that into account?
I can't speak to that, unfortunately. No, I'm not really discussing them all here, so I don't know the specifics of that, so I'm not going to say to that.
Well, and okay, now capitalization rate is a measure of risk as well. Shouldn't the capitalization rate on a property that has no legal alternative use be quite a bit higher?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, the cap rate. I mean, our cap rates they're based on the size, age, and I get what you're saying, obviously. So, but I think that's kind of subjective. I mean, it is a smaller building, so it's easier. It would, if you were to rent it out, it would be easier. But I get what you're saying. Yes, so yes, I get what you're saying. So.
Okay, well, it's just that the motherhood statement on cap rate is anticipation. So, it's fair to say you can't really anticipate a change in use on this property.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Yeah.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Diane, any questions of the assessor?
I do not.
Ron, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and I have no questions either. Bear with us 1 second, Mr. Neufeld, till we can pull up your brief here. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. First of all, now we did write down how much the post-reference sale was, and I know you're going to disregard it. The issue is that and to be fair, we just hadn't been able to determine the date of the meeting of minds. The properties like this tend to take a long time to go through due diligence, but just for the record, we haven't been able to prove anything yet. Just always a question of having enough time. But we do know that it was not purchased for its current usage. We do know that it was purchased for its land value. And we do know that it does not have an alternate use in R2. There would be no hope of getting an occupancy permit. In our city, the only thing you could do to maintain an industrial use is to maintain the same usage without need for an occupancy permit change. So if somebody else came along and wanted to operate the same business, then you could be grandfathered forward. That's highly unlikely. And then there's the question of highest and best use. R2 land is worth more than M2 land or industrial uses. So what we've looked at, regardless of the calculation we did on the first page, which is just how would I say it, a hypothetical workup, because this is not its future life, but we had looked at rents for what it was, which is inferior commercial property, and we have a bunch of those rents on page 3. And in our opinion, $6 would have been the highest it would have seen. It's got a poor land ratio and not a good location for a commercial use. It's too small. You can't drive trucks on it as an industrial, and you can't even call it industrial. And then on the cap rate end, 8 was just what they did in the office with our little model. I don't think it's appropriate to cap this, because a cap is the future. It has no future. It will be demolished and redeveloped for R2. And what we did, which I think is far more pertinent, page 4, ran all the sales in the neighborhood, and these are almost all R2 zoned lots. And they are all within the reference period, and there's a lot of them. The mean is $31 a square foot, $31.65, and that's what we've applied. I think that's the highest and best use of this lot, and that comes out to $123,973, which we would then round to $124,000. That is my presentation.
Thank you. Does the assessor have any questions of the appellant's evidence?
I think it was answered, but I'll just kind of maybe ask. So the intention, as you stated, was they purchased this property to essentially, as you're saying, demolish the property and build like a residential property, like a house on it or something. I'm assuming is what their intentions are, I guess, or something. Or
R2 is duplex.
Yeah, the duplex. I mean, sorry, correct.
Yeah,
yes.
and that would be the highest and best use in the market of April 1st, 2021.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, any questions of the appellant?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Newfield, I know we're dealing with a post-reference sale. If you look at the assessment, it's considerably less than the sale price. So when you present your evaluation, did you take into account the post-reference sale at all?
Sorry, I think your question was got the thing backwards. The sale is less than the assessment, not the assessment less than the sale.
Correct.
Okay. Unless I heard it wrong.
Okay.
Well, we looked at the sale, and this particular client has a lot of these types of properties, and he tends to take quite a long time on his closings. So we didn't research it, but technically we can't let it count for anything, but I found it hard to ignore.
So, for your evaluation, you're using a cap rate of 825. 825. So if you look at the sale itself, it would support your cap rate.
Yes, that is correct.
What else can you tell us about the sale itself? What's our list price on it?
I'm going to try to answer that for you in 1 second. It actually has a lengthy listing history. The assessor has mentioned 3 of the sales in its lifespan. But the last sale that occurred did not go through listing services, and so I just never got the answer from the owner on the dates. But that's all I can say.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Ron. Diane, any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions either. Does either party have requirement for summary?
No, I'm good.
I think it was pretty clear. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes 532 Agnes Street. Next item on the docket is item number 3, 688 Aaron Street, and we're looking at file number 223040, dealing with a 2023 realty assessment. Mr. Harling, when you're ready, please just bear with us 1 second so we can get your brief up here.
Sorry, what could you just repeat the number for me, please?
We're dealing with item number 3, 688 Aaron Street.
But the file number, I'm sorry.
File number is 22-3040.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Bear with us 1 second here, Mr. Harling. Okay, 688 Aaron Street. When you're ready, please.
Thanks, Chairman. The roll number is 13011131500. The address is 688 Aaron Street, and the owner is George D. Bodman. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $427,000. Property use is an industrial warehouse. It's a 1-story building. The effective year built is 1968. The wall heights are 12 feet. The land area is 8,239 square feet with a leasable area of 4,320 square feet. It gives us a land to plan area of 1.91. Page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the request for information has been received. There are no recent sales in the subject or any subject leases in place. If we go to page 3 of my brief, you'll see my rent comparables. My rent comparables lease start dates range from 2017 to 2018. Lease terms range from 2 to 5 years. The leasable areas range from 1,870 square feet to 6,800 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 18 feet. The effective year built range from 1963 to 1988. And the net rents range from $6.75 a square foot to $12.35 a square foot. If you go to page 4 of my brief, you'll see my income workup. Again, the leasable area is 4,320 square feet. We're using a model rent of $7.47 a square foot, which gives us a potential rent of $32,270. We're applying a vacancy loss of 6.5%, which gives us effective gross income of $30,172. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, $3.85 square foot for shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $28,186. We're applying the capitalization rate of 6.6%, which gives us the overall estimated market value of $427,000. Page 5 of my brief, you'll just see another income valuation summary of the subject. Now, if we go to page 6 of my brief, again, just looking at the cap rates. Again, cap rates fall, city cap rates, majority of 20 to 80% of cap rates fall within 5.5 to 7.45, so our 6.6 is in that range. And then 2 other published rates by CRBE and Cushman Wakefield. 6.6 falls within the range of their indicated cap rates within their published rates. So I believe our cap rate is supported by that. Now, if we go to page 7 of my brief, it's just some Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. Page 8 of my brief, you'll see a subject map of the property where it's located at 688 Aaron Street. If we go to page 9 of my brief, you'll see 2 photos of the subject. One is the front on the Aaron Street, and then at the bottom, there's just another photo of the building. Continue on page 10, you'll just see an overhead view of the subject, as well as below that, you'll see another overhead view just of the entire building and the parcel outline. Let's continue on page 11, just another photo, and then finally at the bottom of page 11, just the parcel outline, parcel boundary, and the current assessed value of $427,000. Page 12 of my brief, you'll just see 12 and 13, you'll see the income expense mailer that is provided. Property is owner occupied. Just page 15. And then just page 16, 17 reviews, just some outside source information. That is our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harling. Mr. Neufeld, any questions of the assessor?
Oh, yes, I do. The land plan area again is rather on the low side, isn't it?
1.91. So yeah, it's slightly lower. Yes.
Okay, and again, this is you've got this as storage warehouse, correct?
That is correct.
And how does that wall height compare to storage warehouse in general?
Well, I mean, again, it's a 1968 building, so it's a little bit older, but there are a lot of older buildings with that wall height. So
on your comparables, these I take it were selected by yourself to support. Okay. I just want to go through them each one by one. 1111 Winnipeg. How many units here?
I believe there is 3 or 4 in that one.
3 or 4. Okay, and do you know the land area?
Unfortunately, I don't have the land plan ratio for that particular property. I can
Okay.
check, though.
Well, I've got it at 35,744 square feet, but it is a multi-unit facility then, correct?
That is yes, that is multi-unit, yeah.
With 17-foot ceilings?
That is correct.
Okay. Same question on Aaron. I have it at almost 16,000 square feet. Is this a single or multi-tenant?
I have to. Just give me 2 seconds. I can just double check that. We wrote it down somewhere, but I just can't pull up quickly here. Check myself here. I believe we have it as single, so.
Okay. And that 30, almost 36,000 square feet. So a fair amount more land then, correct?
It's a bigger land area, yes.
And the same question I'll ask on all of them, does not the land factor into what sort of rent it can be obtained?
That would be one of the factors. It would be one of the factors that would play into the overall rent and cap rate and such, yes.
The 1363 border has I'm not stalling here. I'm just really feeling very stupid today, so I'm slow. Sorry.
Monday, no worries.
Yes. So 1363 border is similar in configuration, from my calculations here, but that's then an 18-foot ceiling then, which is much higher than the subject.
That is higher, yes, correct.
Okay. Richard, 1207 Richard, single or multi-tenanted, do you know?
I believe that is multi-tenanted, that one.
Okay. And that's on 30,000 square feet of land, so you don't know the ratio?
I could figure it out. I just don't know off the top of my head, so.
Okay. Well, if it's not in the evidence, I appreciate I'm asking these questions and I'm a bit leading, but I was hoping that this would be a bit easier to wade through. 70 Oak Point, single or multi, do you know?
This one is, I can pull up 1 second here, apologize here. This one is, we have it as single.
Okay. So you're aware that this 2,000 square foot building is on 1.7 acres?
Yes, it is a larger piece of land, correct.
Okay, and 1499 Dublin, single or multi?
That is the multi.
Any idea of the floor area?
Let me check. I can hold on. Usually write this down, so I don't know why I forgot. I just unfortunately forgot. Let me just quickly check here. I might be able to figure it out really quickly here. Let's see here, 68 divided by 2 seconds here. 25. 2.71 we have it as for a land plan ratio.
Okay, so more land than the subject and a higher ceiling then, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Sanford, I'll just ask you the same thing. So if you have it, let me know. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah, that one I don't have.
Okay, because I note that it's on 1.7 acres of land, and I was wondering that one as well.
Yes, well, this is multi-tenant, yes, and it's a bigger parcel.
Okay. And well, how did the effective age change from 1957 to 1968?
I believe there was some alterations that were done, and there may be there were some, because I found an older permit that there were some odd changes done to the building. So I believe that is the reason why the effective age increased. So that's the only information I could find. So.
All right. When obviously this cap rate was model driven, do you have any idea if any properties similar to this type we're discussing today were even included in your cap rate study? Did you actually have data?
No, we don't have. We're not. I'm just relying again. My cap rates. We're just using, as I mentioned, the outside source information. So I don't know the specifics of those cap rates, what they're using. So those
okay. That's a fair answer, thanks. Although I know the owner wanted me to ask something here. I noticed that you don't have a sale listed here. He's apparently telling me that there was a sale. Nothing in your system?
Yeah, I can quickly check to see if we have a record of sales. So let's see here. I don't have any sales in our system unless there's a sale that I'm aware of, but.
Okay. No, that's fine. Those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Ron, any questions of the assessor?
I have none. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
And neither do I. Mr. Neufeld, go with us 1 second till we get your brief up, please. Okay, when you're ready, please, 688 Aaron Street.
Thank you. First of all, I want to point out that there is an error here. We have written that the zoning is R2. That's an error. It is M1, as the assessor has stated. just a typo and therefore not a factor. It's in its properly zoned area. Would our opinion of rent is is $5, and there are what we call our small industrial rents on the next page, and these are rents that that we verified. Speaking to the participants, they verify. They vary by quality and ceiling height, and you can see that I put some in here that aren't in the city of Winnipeg, and this was not for reliance, it's more for comparative purposes. The numbers 3 to 5, they're not numbered on Mountain View. That's in the arm of Rosser in the Centerport zoned area. But the point is that if you have a nice 23-foot clear ceiling, you can get a better rent, whereas the others are disadvantaged by ceiling height. And then, so that one wasn't relied on other than for it to compare a good property to a mediocre property. And our opinion is $5 based on that. The vacancy is derived from a blend of retail and industrial from the Johnson report, and that's shown on page 4, where this would be considered this is actually a very strange, it wouldn't really be West End, but yeah, but well, it is West End, but it's in the its own particular area, whereas the West End itself is a much broader area. In 2020, it was at 6%. In 2021, it was 2.7. The area is actually traditionally held a lot more owner occupants rather than tenants. So and there's also in this particular area a blend of industrial and retail. So what we did is we looked at the means on each of them and came up with 11.3% as our average, because it has the possibility of being either of those uses, so it would be of interest in both markets. The calculation of the non-recoverables is per appropriate methodology, which is to allow every appraisal has to have non-recoverables in it. That's the theory, and the actual theory states per local standards, and the local standard is we put it in, except for the assessment department. But no disrespect, they do not set local standards. They're there to observe and report on them, not set them. The market reports on transactions. On pages 32 and 33 is our study to date on what the typical non-recoverable is. They vary from year to year, and they're high some years and low the other years, but they stabilize out. The mean on this is 13.3%, but the median is actually about 8%. And I forever would like to fix that typo. But we're using 5% for non-recoverables and 2% for structural reserve allowance per standard valuation. And this is the same number that was used up till 2018 by the city of Winnipeg when they changed it to 2% total, and then this year to 3%. The shortfall has been calculated at 582, which is our best estimate of the actual. With a property like this, you know, when the assessment department puts a rate of 385 and calls it industrial, it fails to take into account that this is in a quasi-retail industrial area on Erin, a mix of both. And as a result, the buildings compete with each other and the operating costs are similar. The greatest component of an operating cost is taxes, are taxes. And our calculation of the actual taxes was $2.37 a foot. And when added to utilities and repair and maintenance, the parameter is just not reasonable. In terms of a cap rate, as with all properties of this style, the concept of a cap rate is hypothetical. These properties don't generally sell on the basis of their investment quality. Had as an estimate, we looked at hypothetically on page 2 where it would rank in the market compared to other buildings, and we looked at our 23 points. And you've all heard this before, so we'll skip over it today. But we calculated hypothetically 7.5%. So this ends up with a value of $215,000, and I don't think that this property has been reviewed by anybody in the last couple of years. This is a new client for us, and I do not think they have an appeal history. So but on the other hand, what I just said, at $215,000, this is not likely to sell on that basis. This is the system that the assessor uses, and if we use it that way, it's going to come in lower because that's the nature of this. From a market perspective, I did not enter this as evidence, but from a market perspective, this property would probably be in the $75 to $80 square foot range and sell on direct comparison. The downsides, now if it had ample parking, it would be closer to $100 a foot. It does not, and that would be the main issue with it. That value, incidentally, is $315,000 at $75 a foot. Wait, sorry, sorry, 324,000. I apologize, and that would be the range that it would sell in our best estimate in the reference here, possibly as high as $80 a foot, which is $346,000. Further verbal information, and obviously, given that it's verbal, you're going to make a decision on the weight. But the owner does have a quote for $125,000 for needed deferred maintenance. You can see in the picture the roof is obviously one of them with the staining. We do not have a condition report on this, and again, this is verbal, and this would also indicate a lower sale price. So income approach 215,000, direct comparison 324,000, and that's my presentation.
Thank you. Diane, any questions?
I do. In your vacancy study on page, that green thing, on page 4, you're saying this property fits into the West End area, and you're saying your vacancy is 8.75%. So how do you get that from this West End study?
I had the same problem. I'm running over to my book for a second here. Sorry, you're correct. I don't know what the heck happened there. The industrial investment vacancy would be citywide 6.2%, and so that should have been the number used. And the retail, I want to check and make sure we quoted this right. Is 4.7%. So yes, that does indicate a much more. That's about an average of 5.5% rather than what's indicated here.
Okay, thank you.
I can correct it. It's still going to come in below what the direct comparison approach would indicate.
Right.
Thank you, Diane. I apologize, Mr. Harling. Do you have any questions?
I got one of them was already answered, but so I was I guess just curious what you're saying, because I know you had provided both the different valuations, but the direct comparison as well as the income. So do you, or like, I mean, which one are you really, is it like this property is owner occupied, but it is still it's like an income, it is an income producing property, I guess, correct though, or?
Well, income in terms of, all commercial properties are designed to help somebody make money. But not to be rented, which is the real test. I just changed that to 5.5%, and the number goes up to 235,000. And that is an error on our part. You were asking a question about the two approaches, and again, we put in the income approach because this is the way it's assessed. But on the market, this would be done by direct comparison, because it's going to be an owner's calculation of the utility of the property and contribution to his business enterprise, and that they will look at.
I guess just a quick question I have was like, because like again, I know you're using a model or a net rent of $5, and I was just looking at some of the comps you're applying. Like a lot of the comps that would support the $5 rent, they are older rents. Would you not agree? All these start dates, like most of them are 16, 15, 14. So don't you maybe agree newer rents, or sorry, more recent rents would be more, the rents would be potentially higher. They would give a better indication of what the market currently is right now, I guess, or.
I'd love to use that excuse that I always hear from the assessor, is that, well, somebody else made it up, the model did it. But I got to take responsibility here. When I looked through this, I didn't prepare this. We're doing it in the office now. I mean, I'm looking at 1041 Aaron at $6. That's the rent I personally would have picked.
Okay.
And incidentally, I hypothetically plug that in to my valuation, and the number comes up to 285,000.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, any questions?
Yes. Mr. Newfield, you've done the income approach. You've also, and you concluded value of 215, but you come along and you talk about direct sales of $80 a square foot for the subject property with a value of about, 320,000. So I'm just wondering, what exactly is your presentation in regards to concluding value?
Well, my conclusion is that the two things that were pointed out, I don't mind changing them, because I agree with the two questions I was given on rent and vacancy. Amending that, our value should be 285,000 on income, and that's a $6 rent and a 5.5% vacancy rate, and then 324,000 on direct comparison, which is my opinion of value, would be $80 a square foot, or 324,000.
Sorry, the $80 a square foot would be 346.
Yeah, right. I was at 75 to 80. That's my range.
Okay.
I told you today. I'm just really having a problem. My thinking's okay. It's the words coming out aren't working.
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct. 324 to 346 would be where it should end up.
Mr. Newfield, have you personally looked through this building?
Several years ago, nothing current.
So you can't tell us, what amenities it has, if any, like office space or air conditioning or anything like that?
No, I mean, the only observation on on the air conditioning would be to look at the pictures to see if there are units on the roof. I don't see any. I see 3 chimneys for space heaters. And I actually see a little compressor on the roof, so it's partially air conditioned in the office area. That's on the assessor's page 10. You can see that there's 1 rooftop unit, and then on the other portion of the building are 3 chimneys for space heaters. That would be the warehouse portion. So, you know, from the outside, what I would see is the small warehouse with the space heaters, and then a lower ceiling, which is mostly office, that has the rooftop. And other than that, the condition issues was the quote of roof, windows, furnace, 125,000. I haven't seen the quotes on that.
So your office people are using $5 a square foot.
Yes,
You're changing it to $6 a square foot.
that is correct.
All right. I thank you very kindly. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ron. Excuse me. And I have no questions. Any requirement for summary by either party?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, just briefly, I apologize for the changing of the numbers. When somebody asks you a question and makes sense, I think we're obligated to react, and rather than stonewall you and try to convince you of something that is not the case. Thank you. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. That concludes 688 Erin Street. Before we begin the next one, shall we take a quick 10-minute break?
Yes, Mr. Yep.
Thank you. We'll recess for 10 minutes.
Be alive, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jaswinder. I'll now call the hearing back to order. Next item on the docket is item number 4, file number 22-3094-957 Notre Dame Avenue. Mr. Harling, bear with us a second, please. We'll pull up your brief. Okay, everybody ready? 957 Notre Dame, Mr. Harling. Thank you.
Thanks, Chairman. The file number is 22-3094. The roll number is 1306032. Sorry, 302000. The address is 957 Notre Dame Avenue, and the owner is Computer Plus Limited. I actually do have a recommendation for this property. I was over the weekend. I had a chance to just look at some of these properties. So there's a rec I'm going to present. Whether it'll be accepted or not, that's up to the appellant. But our current assessed value for 2023 is $329,000. I'm making a rec of $271,000.
Okay, and would you mind detailing the reason for the recommendation, please?
The one change I made in the recommendation is the model rent we're applying. We're currently for model we're using $12.88 a square foot, and I'm making a revision to the rent to $10.71 a square foot.
Okay, and all the rest of the parameters are remaining the same?
Those parameters will be all the same, correct?
Yeah. Would you mind going through your brief, please? And or do you have an adjusted workup available to us?
I have the numbers. Unfortunately, I don't have because I just came up with it. I apologize. So
would you just mind repeating the number as well?
the overall 271. 271.
271. Okay, thanks. So I'll let you go through whatever you got to do, and then gives me some time to think.
Sure.
Yeah, please go through your revised workup, please.
Sure, I can. I have the numbers written down, so I can just kind of give you all the numbers as I go through.
Okay, if you don't mind going slowly, so we can.
Yes, write it down.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so if you just go to page 4, you can just kind of follow along. So the leasable area we're currently have is 1,942 square feet. The revised rent is $10.71 a square foot. This gives us a revised potential rent of $20,799. We are applying 6% for vacancy, which would be revised to $1,352.
Is it 6.5 or 6%?
6.5, 6.5.
Thank you.
So yeah, again, so then the overall effective gross income would be 19,447. The expenses at 3% would be 583. The shortfall 385 would be the same at 486. And then the overall net operating income would be 18,378. And the cap rate would be the same at 6.75.
Resulting in a revised estimated value of $271,000.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Neufeld, have you had time to consider this? Take your time.
Oh, I'm wait a second, am I still on screen here? Do I have zoom? Yes, okay. I just need one more thing I wanted to look up.
Of course, take your time.
957 is okay. Yeah, it's adjacent to the other owned property at 943. I think we'll accept it, and if I have any issues with it, I'll let the assessor know later. What if there are any? I'd like the owner to approve this, but let's just accept it for now, if that's okay.
Okay. Any questions of the assessor at all, Mr. Neufeld?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Ron, any questions of the assessor?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Diane?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. And I have no questions either, so we have a recommendation of $271,000 revised workup, and Mr. Neufeld has accepted that recommendation. Okay. That concludes 957 Notre Dame Avenue. Next property on the docket is 311 Tecumseh Avenue, file item number 5. File number 223501, 311 Tecumseh. Bear with us 1 second, Mr. Harling. Pull up your docket here, or pardon me, your brief. .311 Tecumseh Street, Mr. Harling, when you're ready, please.
Thanks, Chairman. File number is 22-3501. Roll number is 13082502000. The address is 311 Tecumseh Street, and the owners are Computer Plus Limited. Actually, I have another recommendation actually on this property too. As I said, I had a chance to review some of these properties last night, so I'll go through the whole spiel again. Everything, but the Curtis value is $396,000, and I'm proposing a recommendation to revise the value to $325,000. And this is based on adjusting our model rent from $7.57 to $6.25. And I can go through the breakdown again as well if you need.
Sorry, the rental rate is going to be adjusted to what?
$6.25.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to just do the same thing, go through the breakdown, I guess, again, or?
Yes, please, on page, I guess we'll go to page 4 and revise our numbers here.
So yeah, we are using or have a leasable area of 3,955 square feet. I'm applying a revised model rent or a revised rent to $6.25 a square foot. This gives us a revised potential rent of $24,719. We are still using the 6.5% vacancy, which is revised to 1,607. And then we get a revised effective gross income to 23,112. We're still using the 3% for expenses, which is revised to 693. The shortfall will remain the same at 990. And then we have revised net operating income of 21,429. And we are using the same cap rate at 6.6% for a revised estimated value of 325.
Just to confirm, revised rate to $6.25, same parameters to come up with a revised recommendation of $325,000 even.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Neufeld, do you need a minute to consider this?
I have to ask the owner for this, so I guess same as before. It's the same owner too. I need to discuss it with him. So we'll. What's the right word to say?
Accepted.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, it's like you go to court, you plead guilty with an explanation. So I accept it with an explanation.
Okay. Okay. Any questions of the assessor, Mr. Neufeld?
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Diane, any questions?
No, sir.
Ron, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I have no questions either. That concludes, excuse me, 311 Tecumseh Street. And just bear with me while I get my paperwork straight here. Okay, next property, I guess the last property on the docket today is 313 Pacific Avenue. Just bear with us, Mr. Harling, for a second here. Okay, Mr. Harling, when you are ready, please file number 22-2007, dealing with a 2023 realty assessment appeal, and it's 313 Pacific Avenue.
Thanks, Chairman. The file number is 22-2007. The roll number is 13080154500. The address is 313 Pacific Avenue, and the owner is 5456003 Manitoba Incorporated. Just continuing with the trend, again, this is actually another property I do have a recommendation on that I will put forth, as I was able to review this one as well. Now, we are currently assessed at $2,218,000. I'm proposing a recommendation to revise the assessment to $2,043,000.
So 2043
Correct.
from
2218.
2218. Oh yeah.
Well, let's, Mr. Harling, would you mind going through the numbers, and then we'll we'll deal with the recommendation with the appellant.
Okay, sure, I can do that. If we go to page 4 of my brief, now there's obviously you see there's many rents on here. So I'm the model blended rent we're using is actually $4.11. So that's the model rent. The revised rent I'm applying is $3.83 a square foot. And all the other parameters are the same as well. But again, if you'd like, I can go through all the numbers again if you'd like. I have them written down. So
Yes, please.
okay. So the revised potential rent using the model or using this revised rent of 383 would be $279,615 would be the potential rent revised. The vacancy loss is 12.5% is the same, but that would be revised to 34,952. This gives us revised effective gross income of $244,663. The revised expenses, again, would be still 3%, but they would be 7,340.
7,000, sorry, 300 and
40.
thank you.
And this would give us the shortfall would actually be revised. Oh, so our shortfall would be the same at 35,084. The revised net operating income would be 202,239. And we are still using the same cap rate of 9.9, which gives us the estimated revised value to $2,043,000.
Okay. Mr. Neufeld, any questions or comments?
Yeah, just one comment. I mean, it's what 9.9% cap rate. All we're hearing is 4s and 5s, and now we come up with. But I'm just joking. We're going to accept this recommendation, and I don't have to consult with the owner. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld, pleased with that revised recommendation. Ron, any questions of the assessor?
Just one, Mr. Harling, why the drop in regards to the square footage that you're using for the gross income?
Well, the reason is like looking at the model. There's this problem. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to inspect on these properties, but there's a if you look on page 4 of my brief, you'll see the breakdown of all the leasable areas. Now, when I was looking at the mailer of the property, there's a discrepancy in the leasable areas. Now we have one area that's considered basement space. So typically basement space is going to have a lower rent. So I adjusted that rent so to reflect that fact of that basement space. But this would be something I'd like to inspect at some point, just so I can verify that space itself to see if we should just remove it entirely. But that's kind of where that's the reasoning for my revised rate, essentially.
And the cap rate, you're still using the same cap rate, but unusually high.
Yeah, again, this property is it's like a loft warehouse, 4-story loft warehouse. It's an older building, 1924, 10-foot wall heights. So those would be that would be kind of some of the reasons why we would apply a higher cap in this case.
And all model driven?
That is all model correct.
The location on Pacific, where is it close to? What cross street?
If you actually look, yes, it's actually Alexander Street would be on the opposite side of the street. So,
okay. But what's the cross street? Is it close to McGregor or Salford?
I can pull it up for you right now. Let me just double check. I just want to. Let's see here. We're close here. Rupert Avenue would be very close by. Lizzie Street here. Ellen Street would be very close by. Princess, it's actually pretty close to Princess as well. So
okay, so it's down there.
Yeah, it's in that neck of the woods.
Around Main Street and that.
Yeah, in that core area, like the central kind of downtownish area.
The core area. Okay, I thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Diane, any questions?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harling, my question is regarding that adjusted, I guess you're adjusting the blended rent, would that be fair?
That would be correct, yes.
Okay, so which premise ID did you revise?
Would be the premise ID 24700. It's 14,400 square feet.
Okay,
We were using the initial value or rent 283. So the actual revised rent for that particular one would be $1.41.
okay. And that was the only one revised?
That's correct.
Okay. And that results in a revised blended rate of $3.83, utilizing the same parameters as in the original workup. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And location, are we, let's see, Alexander. So we're between William and, are we between William and Logan? Would that be accurate?
Logan's a bit further away. It's like close to Stanley, but I mean, Logan would be a bit further north. So, I mean, I'm looking at a map right here. I'm just looking at some of the cross streets. There's like Lizzie Street, Stanley, Fountain, Princess is, as I said, Princess Street is close by. So,
Oh, I see. So we're north of William Avenue, about 3 blocks. Okay, 4 blocks. Yeah, and we're not far from. Oh, okay, just a block and a half west of King Street. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got you there. Okay. And the reason for the cap rate at 9.9%? I'm sorry, would you mind?
Yeah, that would be relation to, like, so this isn't so it's classified as a loft warehouse. So it's an older building. Again, it's got 10-foot wall heights. It's a 4-story building. The actual built is 1913, the effective year built is 1924. So those are some of the factors that would really, and again, location, obviously where it's located too. So those would be other factors that would derive the higher cap rate. So.
And this building is owner occupied, is that correct?
There's actually, I believe, a portion of it is owner occupied, and there's a portion that's being rented out. So.
Okay. It's the old Safeway.
Yeah, on the side there in the building, if you look at the photos, you can see that. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I've got it. Okay. That's all my questions. Any requirement for summary by either party?
Just a redirect, and it just satisfy my curiosity. Premise ID 24700. That would be the basement, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and now I understand it. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Okay, requirement for summary, is that it, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, we accepted the recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Harling, you're complete too. Okay. So I believe that we've heard all the items on the docket, and that concludes our hearing today. Thank you both for appearing.
Thanks.